I'm going to call the meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to remind council and municipal staff that this meeting is being live streamed to the public. All council meetings are also recorded. Recordings will be available to the public on the township's YouTube account. This meeting is held electronically under Bylaw 2020-70 to amend Procedural Bylaw 2018-117 pursuant to Section 238 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. All right, I'd like to give the First Nations land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. With that, we will move to the adoption of the agenda. There are two amendments, Council. Under Fire and Protection, 9.2.2 is a letter from the Solicitor General dated May 2nd, 2022 regarding firefighter certification. And under, I think it's unfinished business. Yes, okay. 10.3.1, the CAO clerk will give a verbal update on the Mission House lease renewal. With that, the recommendation is that the council and committee meeting agenda for Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022 be approved as amended. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Schulis, seconded by Councillor Wilmer. All those in favor? And that's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest this morning?
None.
None here.
Okay. Seeing none, we will go into our council and committee portion of the agenda. All recommendations from the standing committees are recommendations to council and are pending the approval of council at a subsequent meeting. With that, I will turn it over to Chair Bromwich to take us through operations, roads, and waste management.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, Chair, first report, Public Works update by Mike. How are you doing, Mike?
Good, Carl. Good morning, everyone.
Good, thank you. It's pretty, nice report here. Just updating us on your progress here. You want to speak to it, Mike? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, sure, Carl. Maybe I'll just skip through all of the simple maintenance items and skip to
If you wouldn't mind.
the connecting link part of it, which is a bit of an interesting one. So we received our information that we didn't get the connecting link funding this round. So I did have a call with Allison from the Regional Operations Office of the Highway Division, and she provided some good insight for the reasons why we weren't successful in this round. So her reasons are there was 14 high dollar applications they had approved this year that were higher on the needs list than we were. So that took up a lot of the funding they had available. Our pavement condition was deemed to be in really good shape, which it is. It's not very old. Our crosswalks, although are a safety concern, she said that we could go the route of just painting them or something again for the short term to keep them safe until we do get the funding. Also, she just had one thing with the manholes and catch basin items, the same thing, kind of with the thing they could just be patched around for now to keep them safe, and it's not a high risk issue with those. So that were the reasons, but she did say that our application was a really good application. So just got to wait for the next round to come open again.
Thanks, Mike. Is council, anybody in council want to discuss anything on this report? I don't see anything. It's just to accept this as information, I believe.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike. Very good.
No problem. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you very much, Mike. Next one we have is 7.1.2 County Transportation Master Plan. And this is from Hillary Kuczkuski, our operations manager. And pretty interesting to read this, Hillary. Is this a good thing or a bad thing we're recommending here? Can you just give us an overall kind of picture on this? Is this going to cost us a lot of money in the long run, or is it to our advantage to join up with this transportation plan?
Well, okay, through you, Chair. I believe it's a win-win situation. It's a 10-year master plan, and of course, everybody knows that county roads are joined at the hip here with our roads, Siberia Road 62. So, and they take a lot of the grunt work out of the process. I call it, they do the RFP. I have no idea. We don't have nothing to lose at this stage if we join this RFP process, and it'll tell us once we they do it and we get the results back how much it will cost. We can always deny it if it comes in at a high number. I can't even guess a number right now, but I mean that's part of what we're into, and they'll do all the work. Of course, there'll be quite a bit of work from our end. We'll have to drive around with someone, whoever they choose. I believe it was touched on our Wayfinder report that we should have a 10-year master plan. So I believe we're at that stage right now. So I think this is a good endeavor from what I see. And they created the master plan, the RFP. Of course, there's a lot of boxes to fill in on their end, but you see how it's going to work. They're going to put towns in who are interested, and then we go from there to see, and then we get results back on how much it is. I'll bring it back. If it makes sense, we'll talk to the treasurer. I believe she's on this meeting, yes. And we'll see if we have any issues with what's before us.
Thank you. To you, Sue.
Just wanted to add that this council has continued to be very proactive in having projects shovel ready. It's assisted us in two big funding opportunities, one for Pog Lake, one for Old Barry's Bay Road, to identify the needs. So I think moving forward with this would continues that path that council has followed on to show due diligence, and whenever there's funding at the province, it shows that we are ready to proceed.
Thank you. To you, Mayor Love.
Thank you, Chair. Council may not be aware that county is currently reviewing and looking into ways to pay for growth-related roads projects. There are a few of them across the county that are going to require significant funding. So one of the things that was recently looked at was a county development charge. Now, there's no decisions yet, but all options are being explored. It's important when that's happening that we have a sense of if there is a project in our community that may be a growth-related project where we have an intersection of a municipal road and a county road. I can think of one in particular where St. Francis Memorial Drive and Siberia Road meet. That's one of those points at which we could find ourselves with a growth-related project. And it's important for us to understand the impacts of that. That would be one of the components of a transportation master plan. There may be other parts of Madawaska Valley where similar situations exist. I would like to see us be fully aware and on top of that, so that as the mayor, be it myself or a future mayor, should the decision be made in the next term, is preparing to make a decision at the county level about how to pay for growth, that we're well aware of how that will impact Madawaska Valley. So having a transportation master plan underway and getting a sense of what that means for our community is important to making the decisions that are going to be coming down for us, for the mayor to have to make on our behalf, and hopefully with council support. As well, we do have the transportation master plan as one of the items that's recommended in our operational review, and it certainly couldn't hurt to have that good solid overview of our roads infrastructure available to us, and having it point out where there may be issues, where there may be strengths and weaknesses in the process, and where we're at. So I think this is a really great opportunity, as Mr. Kuchkowski said, to have someone else do all the grunt work of the RFP, and still we have an opportunity to to see what it comes in at for us, because we can choose whether to accept or deny the price that is offered to us based on this process. And at the same time, get some sense of how that would interconnect with the work the county's doing. So I'm really pleased to see this. Once again, it's nice to have county staff carrying the load and our staff able to just be able to see what happens and gain from that work that's being done at the upper tier. So I'd be very supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you. I must mention here too, in item 6 in the draft plan here, the tentative project schedule. This is not rushed through in the next 2 or 3 months. This is going from the beginning of it, June the 30th, 2022, and then submittal of remaining deliverables by December 15th, 2023. So we've got a full year plus to discuss this and see what we can give them input in. And back to you, Mary Love.
A good point, Chair. As well, I would just reiterate that because a lot of the project is going on in 2023, the impact in 2022 is going to be financially would be significantly less. It could be spread over 2 years because the work is being done over 2 years. So there is that as well to consider.
It makes sense to me too. We've last few terms here, we've had road situation come up where counties coming down, patching up a certain section of their road, and then an intersecting municipality road is right beside them and it doesn't get. So, whoops. So I think maybe it's a good idea to tie in with Renfrew County as they're doing the work down our way. And I'm sure we'll probably save a bit of money by getting this kind of a symbiotic relationship together with Renfrew County instead of having 2 different operations at 2 different times. So if there isn't any more discussion, maybe I get Sue to read out a recommendation for us.
Thank you, Chair. The council directs the operations manager to contact the County of Renfrew to advise council has approved municipal inclusion in the RFP for professional services for the development of a transportation master plan for the County of Renfrew, and that Madawaska Valley wishes to have the development of their own TMP included in the county's RFP, and that the costs for the local TMP, which is a transportation master plan, be included as provisional so that the share of costs is clearly identified.
And also move that. And I wonder if I could have a seconder on that. Seconded by Mayor Love. Any further discussion by council on that? If not, call the vote. All in favor? And that is passed. Thank you. We don't have any correspondence and information. Is there any unfinished business? I see none, so I'll pass this back to Mayor Love. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Chair Bromwich. Our next committee is Operations, Water, Wastewater, and Facilities, and I'm turning it over to Chair Schulist.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. We have a report here, expenditures. I guess there's money to be spent. I see that Gwen's name is on here. So Gwen, if you could speak on this matter.
Oh, I just did the report. I'll let Ashley speak to it.
Okay.
I just combined all the invoices onto one report.
Oh, I see. Okay. So Ashley, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Chair. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. In front of you today, we have a list of 6 different items that were replaced or dealt with within the water and wastewater facilities in Madawaska Valley. The first 3 was replacement shaft and seals for effluent valves for the filters that had to be repaired. There was a frozen water service on 96 Siberia Road that was repaired, and a pH probe replacement that replaced a defective one. And then moving into the sewage portion, there was 2 DO probes that were refurbished, a frozen sewer at on Opiongo Road, as well as a blocked sewer that on Sandhill Drive that were both dealt with by a contractor, as they could only be accessed through private property. So, does anybody have any questions pertaining to those? No?
And that's it?
That's all that's in my report.
Oh,
for today,
okay.
yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right. I guess, I mean, there was nothing out of the ordinary, so it's just bills that we have to pay. So if I can have the Madam CEO read out the recommendation.
Through the chair, that council approve the Ontario Clean Water Agency expenditures as presented totaling $7,236.76 for work orders 2639548, 2576607, work order 2724202, work order 2314534, work order 2774863, and work order 2776973.
Okay, I will move it. I need a seconder. Councillor Wilmer is seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Okay, this next one here, I guess, Ashley, you're going to have to talk about. I see the word, the threat of cyber attack or attacks, I guess. So you can fill us in on this here. Kind of scary, but fill us in, please.
Okay, thanks, Chair. Yeah, so in the recent months, they've seen an increase, or there's been an increased risk of certain electronic portions of the facilities being under like a cyber attack. At Aqua, we have many different firewalls. I think they have firewalls on top of the firewalls. In my, I do have a nice 4-page document highlighting our actual everything that we're doing right now to mitigate this, between perimeter firewalls, server firewalls, VPN and local firewalls, access barriers. There's way too many to even list at this point. And just for your own note, like the both facilities here in Barry's Bay are physically disconnected from the internet. So if we have, the only time they would ever be opened up would be for a contractor to work on the actual SCADA system, which he would be limited to only his access, and it's physically disconnected after he's completed. So we're looking at this very closely.
Right. Okay. Listen. Very good. Any comments from council? Okay. I don't see any. So it looks like it's all under control, and much appreciated. Yeah, those are kind of scary words nowadays, you know. So, all right, we'll go on to the next one here. Letter from the Minister of Environment and Conservation. So I guess Ashley, you're going to speak on this one.
I can.
Okay,
yeah.
it's all yours.
Okay, so at the during the initial few months of COVID, they had enacted an order that would let us use, say, a retired operator, somebody that was fit in the role previously, but their licenses had expired. So we were able to bring them back if need be to use if there was staff shortages and such. But this letter is just saying that they have revoked that now, that COVID is now, you know, dwindling down, and they've since removed that stipulation. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any questions for Ashley on this one? I'm not seeing any, so I think we can continue here. Any unfinished business? I don't see, and nobody's told me about any unfinished business, so I guess we're pretty well finished. So I'll hand it over to Mayor Love. And thank you very much, Ashley, for your report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair. Our next committee is Fire and Protection and Emergency Management, and I'm turning it over to Chair Poplinsky.
You're muted, Ernie.
Are we now? Okay, you'll have to bear with me. I've lost my voice, so I'm going to be very limited as to my comments. So dealing with 9.1 Municipal Reports, pages 55 to 72 in your package. And 9.11 is the fire departmental activities. And if we have our chief with us this morning, he can speak to the report. Is Chief
No,
Corey
I don't
Cod?
see, I don't see Corey unless he's in the waiting room. Gwen, if you want to check.
He's coming online now. So.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Chief.
Good morning.
Welcome. We are dealing with the fire report, and we're on pages 55 to 72, and it's 9.11, and it's dealing with the fire department activities. If you could speak to the report.
Okay, first thing on the report is 2007 North Hall van and a 2007 pumper and a 2017 North Hall tanker have been all safety with no issues. The new pickup truck's in service now. We're waiting for the decals to be put on this week. I was talking to the fellows going to do it this week, so the new decals for the township will be on that truck. The radio's been installed as of last week. The air station's been inspected for a semi-annual inspection, no problems with that. The generators at the North Hall and the South Hall have been both installed. They are up and running. We've been trained. Hillary and I have been shown how to do the troubleshooting for them. So they both work well. So the community center down in Cumber is fully serviced, and so is the, as an emergency center if required, and so is the fire hall in the South Hall, and the North Hall, very same thing. Everything's going good there. Training for both halls going well. The North Hall firefighters visited the St. Francis Herb firm on April 6th to see what, how the whole place is laid out for any kind of fire inspections or anything. Then I was down at Chiefs meeting in Carlton Place on April 5th. During that, we had an education program to deal with propane facilities and how to extinguish them or keep them from levying. We are required 400 to 500 gallons a minute to cool down one of those large tanks. So that's one thing to take into consideration when we're looking at that. There's never been a case in Canada where one has actually blown up, but the training staff or the staff at the facility must meet the NFPA code. Every single employee at that plant.
Excuse me a moment, Chief. I can hear somebody else talking in the background. I'm just wondering if we could
Yeah, I got
clear that up.
Yeah, he's left the office. Okay.
Okay, please continue.
Propane facility. Every employee of the facility that is hired must go through an extensive training program to understand how all the shutoffs work, all the safety procedures, and how to mitigate any kind of emergency at that plant. So that's under the TSSA has to approve that before they can open the plant. So if it does go ahead, that's one thing that I learned during the training education thing at the Chiefs meeting in Eastern Ontario.
Okay, please continue.
Okay, and I'm up to extrication and auto or ice water rescue. This has come up different times, so it took me a while to get the actual information. If there's such a thing as a basic extrication, light extrication, or extrication, either we do it. So the fire marshal finally got back to me. He said, extrication is extrication. We have hydraulic tools or hydraulic tools. You do extrication. So we know that there's no such a thing as a basic, there's no such as heavy. You either have this stuff or you don't. The stuff that we do have will cut part a railroad car, a tractor trailer, an I-beam. We got the heaviest, most powerful equipment you got when you did buy it. So he's bought the best thing you could buy. So we're well established that way, just so council understands it's taking this long to get to this point. And when it comes to ice and water rescue, there's a term called shore-based, land-based, whatever. Again, this is some term that's been made up. It's either ice water rescue, which means you go onto the ice and do a rescue with a still like flat water. There's a water rescue, which we do not do. Then there's a swift water rescue, which we're not trained in. These are in the core services, and with the new training coming up, mandatory, we may have to look at our core services, whether council wants to continue these things or not. But I want to bring the proper explanations to the council so everybody understands exactly what we're up against. So that took me this long to get that, but I could finally give you that piece of information. Then there's the mandatory fire training certification. This came into effect on April 14th as a law under Regulation 343.22 under Fire Prevention Act 1997. I broke down all the NFPA codes because I know they're hard to understand. You see the numbers. So I broke it down, trying to sort of more common English. You understand exactly what NFPA code, what standards we need to meet. And the next sheets are broke down all the way through, probably about, I don't know, 10 sheets. It goes from every level that we have to. The one thing that I did learn is not every firefighter has to know everything. That was the one thing we did have at the beginning. Every firefighter must meet the basic fire requirements, which is a 10,002 basic firefighter. Every firefighter has to have that level. Any firefighter that wants to do an entry has to hit the next levels. NFPA 2002 level 2, that has to do interior attack, but not every fighter. We can make a team of firefighters that want to do that. It comes down to extrication. If we're going to do extrication, we can have a team of firefighters that do the extrication, and they're going to be there. They have to meet that level of training. So there's a little more leeway than was where every single 35 firefighters have to meet that spec. All 35 firefighters have to meet NFPA 2001 or 1002, I mean, basic, but it's a little more leeway than we did have, but it's still going to be quite a task, but it does give us some room to work a little bit better than we did have at one point.
So on, are you finished with the training and certification, Chief?
Yes, Chair Poplinski.
Okay, you'll probably realize we have an amendment, I think, on here. I mentioned it before the meeting that we have received, I just got it today, a copy of a letter from the Solicitor General talking about there's no extra funding for what we're trying to do. Everybody needs a certain training at a certain level. And I'm just, do you have a copy of that letter?
I just got that before the meeting came. I just read it right before I opened up the meeting.
Okay, because that is extremely important information. And I know you didn't have it when this report was, I think you were expecting a certain thing to happen. And once again, with despite all your efforts to, and others along with other townships, their voice is being ignored when it comes to this particular. And it sounds like we're going to have to fit the bill for all of it. And my concern is, do we have training officers qualified to train the untrained?
We do right now. Just give me 1 second. I'll tell you how we got. We have 7 training officers that can sign off so that they can do the actual training and do our own internal sign-offs. So the only thing that has to do, and the fire marshal will send up a proctor on a training night to do the actual written test and the physical test. But we do have 7 trainers that can sign off to the NFPA standard, which is required, and that's what we've been training to in our fire halls, north and south.
Okay, so I would ask that all members of council read that letter from the Solicitor General. Maybe you've already done so. Like I said, I just got it today, and it's still on my phone there. So, but it's they're quite explicit as to what they're not going to cover. So I guess we have to continue and do what we can. With respect to there still seems to be some ambiguity dealing with the water rescue. It sounds like we can do some, but others we can't. So are we putting ourselves in the firemen in a very difficult position, risking a lot of health risk or risks to their lives by perhaps subjecting them into something where it's like a mission creep, where it starts off with a simple, what might be a simple overturned boat or something, and then it becomes something else? Is that could be a problem?
The ice water rescue is a flat water rescue, like it's not a swift current. That's why there's three different things that are there. Chair Poplinski. Ice water rescue is when somebody walks through into an air hole or something like that, flat water on a lake or something. Then you learn swift water, which we will not do because that's a high technical rescue, which requires very specialized equipment, very specialized training, which we'll never have enough firefighters to show up in time to do. And then there's a water rescue, which could be somebody has an overturned boat, which we do not do at the moment either. So at the moment, I wouldn't add those core services. We can hire them from another fire department if required. But I would not myself ever ask the firefighters to do something like that. It becomes way too risky for both the liability of the firefighters and the danger for the firefighters. So in my opinion, I wouldn't do that or ask council to ever enter into that.
So there's no obligation that we're facing right now to do that.
No, because we
provide that service.
Well, the only service that we have to provide is whatever council decides to go over the core services, which I've included. So someday we will sit down and go over the core services line by line and make sure that's what we want to continue with.
Okay.
So that's why I started to set that right now, but it'll be something to look at in the future.
Okay. Please continue. And I'm just wondering if, as we go along, because this is a serious issue, and I'm wondering if any members of council or staff have any questions or at this point, so we don't miss it.
Chair Poplinski?
Yes, Mayor Love, I now see you.
Yes. Okay, I had my hand up.
Okay,
so
you weren't on the screen.
Okay, I do want to speak to this. I think it's critically important that we take advantage of the one thing that they are offering in this letter, which is their assistance and their oversight and their review of our services. We've got to align the services we're going to provide with the firefighter certification, and aligning that is going to also involve ensuring that we're equipped to do it. So while in the past the municipality has said we do basic extrication, at this point, if we're doing extrication, we're doing extrication. That may mean we're all in. I want to know this from the fire marshal's office. If extrication is considered everything from basic through to what we are calling heavy, then we need to be equipped for that and trained for that, because otherwise there's an expectation that extrication is being provided and we can't provide it to the level of the expectation. That opens up a gap that is a liability gap for the municipality. So it is critically important at this point that we take advantage of the one thing that the fire marshal's office and the province are offering, which is that they're going to come in and they can come in and help us to align that, to make sure that we have the training we need, we can ensure we have the equipment we need to do core services that, as you said, and as the chief said, we've got to review those core services and make sure everything aligns. Otherwise, there's going to be these gaps, and we could be open as a municipality to liability for anything that falls in those gaps. So we may be making a decision to be all in for extrication, but all out for ice water rescue, because that's what makes sense to us, for example. But until we actually can have that conversation, until the chief can sit down with whoever the representative is going to be from the fire marshal's office and go over what we have now and what the expectations are, he can't possibly bring us back a good recommendation on what our core services should be. And, you know, Chief, I certainly think it's very important that we utilize the fire marshal's office and any help that they're going to provide us to make sure that we are well aligned with this new situation we find ourselves in. Council can then make sure that our fire department is doing what we need them to do and no more, and that we have fully equipped them to do that. So the extrication for me was the one that really rung the bell, because we do basic, but if we do extrication, that probably means everything. And that may require more equipment and more training. So Chief, I would really encourage that that connection is made, and we, come back to us with a recommendation of how to realign these core services so that it makes sense for our municipality. And, it has to be affordable too. Obviously, we're not going to get into something where we have to start to equip and train right from scratch. But is that something you think we could do? Getting involved with the fire marshal's office and align our core services properly with our equipment and our training?
Yes, Mayor Love, I've already been working on that before the certification, just so we knew for liability reasons. That's what's taking me so long, I said, to get the actual definitions. But no, I agree with you 100%. And the advisor has already told me we will work on that in the near future to come up and actually go through step by step. If he has to sit down with council also and the CAO, so everybody knows we're all on the same page and I can make my recommendations, he'd be more than happy to sit down with us once the COVID thing sort of is behind us. But they were more than happy to work with it. And we're sort of setting this up so everybody's on the same page and we do know what we're up against.
Okay, the sooner that can happen, the better. Because if we're on the ball, we'll get it done and we'll know what that gap is, because there may be budgetary impacts over the next couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Love. I'm wondering if there's any other comments or questions by other members of council. Once again, I don't see any hands. I only see Councillor Brum or Councillor Schulis. So if you do have a question, just speak up and I'll acknowledge you. Okay, thanks. Okay, Corey, next on your, I notice I've got two things. I've got two different pages and I'm going back and forth here. So the emergency management, there's a letter from the, that we'll be dealing with on the agenda here. So if we could just leave that one. Okay. And I think we're going, if you could go into the next on the agenda is actually the calls and the occurrences and so on. So if you could deal with that.
Okay, we're at the average amount of calls for the year. We've had a couple minor grass fires started by cigarettes. They didn't burn any bigger area, probably the size of a room, 20 by 20. The fire department got there fairly quickly and were noticed fairly quickly. But for the most part, we've had a few alarms, nothing major. So far we're doing quite well. And the public's doing real well with being very careful with the dry season so far. Like I said, we haven't had any major fires, grass fires, bush fires, unlike other townships. So I want to thank the public for that. They're doing a great job following the rules, and everyone else is going on pretty good status quo.
Okay, if there's any questions by members of council. I don't see any hands, so please continue.
Okay, that's it for the call. That was pretty much.
Okay, if there's no questions on regarding the calls, we have next on the agenda the bylaw, pages 73 to 76 in your package, and it's 9.12, the bylaw activities.
Okay, bylaw activities. We've had one garbage complaint. I checked the garbage, couldn't find the person's name, but there's a spot up on camera track. Seems to be an issue again now this year. Every spring seems to be the same thing. They seem to like to dump there. I gotta get signage put up there and maybe possibly a camera put up there trying to find who it is, because there's no way to find out the last 2 years who's been dumping it. One parking issue is a neighbor dispute over a parking in front of their driveway. So I got that settled with just a talk between the two neighbors. You got that settled out. And we had one property standards complaint in Barry's Bay, which has also been rectified. Then the compliance officer is still continuing to find trailers and bunkies that we're getting complaints on, and a couple buildings built without permits, which the building inspector has been dealing with.
Okay, are there any questions by members of council? Okay, not seeing any, so we'll move on to the next item, and it's the 9.2, and it's pages 77, page 77, and 9.2.1, a letter from the Ministry of the Solicitor General's office. And I'm just wondering, we've got, it's addressed to, just bear with me a second here. It's actually addressed to the mayor, but whoever would like to speak to it.
That letter is saying we confirmed 2021, we met Emergency Management Ontario's compliance for the Madawaska Valley Township. What that is, the compliance to say that we met our requirements for training for Emergency Management Ontario. Gwen and I worked equally on this back and forth throughout the year. I know she's considered the alternate, CMC and a CMC alternate, the same kind of whole same position. All it is one's the first contact, one's the second contact, or if we're working 24-hour shifts, that's the only difference between the two. But it's we've been compliant for the last 6 years since I started with Gwen, so everyone's worked out quite well. We're one of the townships that do meet our compliance every year. Some are hit and miss, but we're definitely one of the ones in the province, and especially in Eastern Ontario, that have done quite well. And like I said, with Gwen helping out all the time, it makes quite a difference. Not everybody's CMC and the CMC alternate worked out well together, but like I said, we are equals when that comes to that position. So I want to make sure she gets the same credit as I get, because she does just as much work as I do in that field. So between the two of us, we made a compliance again for 6 years in a row, which is quite an accomplishment so far, according to the field officer.
Thank you, Corey. So Gwen, you just got a nice endorsement there and thanks on behalf of the fire chief. And I know you put a lot of work into this. Do you have any comments at all to?
No, I just wanted to mention actually that it is Emergency Preparedness Week this week. So we have an ad going out in the newspaper, and it's part of meeting compliance is advertising and promoting emergency preparedness. So we've got the ad going out, and we've got it up on social media, and just asking people to build their 72-hour kit and recognize what happens within an emergency, and that the township also prepares for 72 hours plus.
Great. Thank you. Does council have any comment or staff? Thank you, Gwen. Okay, if there's nothing, then we'll move on to 9.3 unfinished business. And we have 9.131 Ontario Modernization Emergency Response System. And you've got that in your package there. And regarding the 911, and I'm not sure who is prepared to comment on that. If that's part of yours, Corey.
This is part of the next generation 911 system that the government's finally released a press release to everybody. We're kind of expecting. It's supposed to be enhanced to that you can use a digital, like a cell phone to locate you quicker, be able to make a 911 call off of possibly a computer. It's supposed to be way further advanced, way faster than everything that we have right now. Better tracking. Like they said, they're spending $208 million over the next 3 years. They haven't exactly told us what the municipalities' portion of the cost is going to be, or if they're going to give grants. We're still waiting to hear that. The CEO and the mayor are supposed to receive that, but they haven't done anything yet. Or I've talked to other municipalities, same situation. It will not affect our current fire dispatching in Renfrew. That won't change one bit, other than it's going to affect the Bell hub, which comes through North Bay or really through the OPP system more than anything else. Other than, like I say, the only thing that has to be changed possibly in time would be upgrading of the county-owned equipment at the CAC Center, but that's another discussion. It has nothing to do with the 911 system, next generation 911. So there's two different items there, but this is just sort of a heads up. The first release that the government's given, but the two municipalities about the next generation 911 is very big. Other than like they've been big about everything to say exactly how it's going to roll or anything else. So we're still trying to get more detail all the time through the Chiefs Association. But so far we haven't hit a walls with getting actual proper costing, how it's going to affect dispatching wherever, or who's going to dispatch what. So.
Okay. Any comment by Mayor Love?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm just vaguely recalling that was not any funding for the 911 system. Was that not done at the county level last time? I don't recall that being a lower tier municipality responsibility. I think the county dealt with that.
You're correct. The county did deal with it. That's when they had that plowing match that time. Mm-hmm. But now we're just at the Chiefs meeting. We're trying to figure out whether each township's going to have to put in so much money to replace the equipment, or there's going to leave status quo. Right now, the current equipment is all analog. Everyone else in the province has moved to digital, so at some point, we're figuring it's going to happen. That came into place back in 2000 or 1999. Right at amalgamation to most municipalities. So the equipment's 23 years old. It's obsolete. It's getting harder to get parts, but we're waiting for communications group to committee for the fire chiefs. Talk to the communications committee from the county, which it seems to have stalled a while. And so that leaves the mayors of the county sort of in limbo at the moment because we can't provide you the proper information. So when I do get that, I can at least pass it along to you. See what the cost. That's what seems to be a big debate and how we're going to pay for this, but if I do get the information, Mayor Love, I will pass the council immediately.
Thank you, Corey. And so we can expect at some point in the next little while, we get some clarification and deal with it at that time. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. We have the other, and I think Madam CAO, if I could ask you, there was some comments regarding volunteer week and some communication that you've had and that you may want to share with council. I don't know. I think she's here. I think she's
Yes, I
blocked.
was going through
Oh,
trying to
Okay.
get it to unmute. It's
Mute. That's the
it's
word.
telling me two things. Yeah. I just wanted to mention that on May 1st was the First Responders Day, and that I have drafted a letter for the fire chief to post at each of the fire halls in recognition of all that they do for our municipality, to acknowledge their assistance and the sacrifice that they make. They are always 100% committed to us. And just wanted to mention that because First Responders Day also is not just the fire department, it's also, you know, our nurses, our paramedics and whatnot as well. There were a lot of Facebook posts that were being shared throughout the weekend. And on May 1st, that involved many first responders and all of the different areas of first responding as it pertained to throughout the county as well as Madawaska Valley. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I see Mayor Love's hand up. Please continue.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to reiterate our thanks to our first responders, our volunteer firefighters, and our paramedics, nurses. I mean, everyone who's worked so hard, especially over the last 2 years dealing with the pandemic. The value that volunteer firefighters bring to this municipality is something that we've never sat down and calculated. What would it cost us to actually pay for those services? If you stop and think about it, their gift of their time and to their community basically is saving us all on tax dollars a significant amount of money, plus the dedication they bring to it. We know that they're going to be there. We know they answer the call and at the worst possible times. Inevitably, having been a firefighter, a volunteer firefighter's wife, I know it's always when you're having, you know, that special dinner and then off goes the pager and away they go. You know, holidays, vacation, it's constant. So I really want to stress how much we appreciate what they do for our community and that there's an astounding value to that for all the community. And we need to recognize that. It's a special person that signs up to be a volunteer firefighter. It's not an easy job. And we do need to thank them regularly for all their efforts and all they give up in order to ensure their community stays safe. So thank you. And thank you, Chief, for overseeing a great bunch of men and women who provide fantastic service to us. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Mayor, for the comments. Now, before we wrap up this end of it, our municipal reports, the recommendations that the fire department activities report be accepted as information, and also that the bylaw activities report be accepted as information. So that concludes, unless there's some comments or questions by other members of council, that concludes my portion. And I'd hand it back to Mayor Love.
Okay, thank you, Chair Pawlinski.
Once again, I'm sorry about my voice. hopefully it'll be better by the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Chair Paflinski.
Thank you.
Our next committee is Recreation and Community Development, and I'm going to turn it over to Chair Wilmer.
Thank you, Mayor Love. All right, there's Hannah. Hi, Hannah. We have 4 items on this section of the meeting. The first one being the Station Keepers Playground update. And we do have a recommendation on this. Hannah, I'll let you go through the information first, please.
Sure. Earlier this year, the station keepers had brought forward to council. They were interested in putting some playground equipment at the railway station. So they've come back with a bit more information. They are looking now to have it at Water Tower Park just because of the size of the thing that they're looking to put in. They've included a letter here that was drafted by them with some drawings, some details on the size, and then the locations that they're thinking about at Water Tower Park. And they are interested in moving forward soon, since they do hope to, at Bay Day, coming up in a few weeks, be able to promote it and hopefully kind of get people talking about it and start fundraising. So they're just looking for whether they can move ahead or not.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great initiative by them. But I had a few comments from people wondering about the location. There were concerns that it could eliminate some of the event space. So I'm glad to see where these are, because I think it's much better to have it over by the water tower than near the train station, which I think was some of the original thought. So I'm glad to see this. The one, I know there's 3 different options listed. When I look at option 2, I do have a bit of a concern. I did go walking through there before the meeting this morning, and I just wonder if that one could sort of get in the way of some of the events at the Opiongo Senior Center. I'm thinking particularly the fish fries and that sort of event. So just a concern on that one, but I think the other 2 are very, very good locations and would fit, and the structure would fit well. So I'm glad to see it there, and I think that will alleviate the concerns that people were expressing to me. All right, are there any other comments? Okay, so we do have a recommendation which gives us 2 choices, and my recommendation would be to approve, not deny. So I'll turn it over to Sue.
Prior to that, I just seeking clarification from Hannah. Are you hoping that council selects that option? Are you looking for the resolution to say option 1, 2, or 3? Or just that you recognize that maybe option 2 is off the table?
I will, oh, sorry. Just to state, I think that the station keepers just want to know that they can do it so they can start raising money. I think, you know, they've got their options there that could be a conversation at a later date. That's just kind of where it's going to fit. So I don't know if we have to make a decision on, you know, option 1, 2, or 3 for the proposed locations, but they do want to be able to move forward with fundraising ASAP. So,
okay,
yes,
thank you. So to that, did you want me to read the recommendation?
Yes, please.
Okay, through the chair, that council approve or deny, that council approve the station keeper's request to install playground equipment at Water Tower Park.
And I also move. Could I have a seconder, Councillor Paflinski? Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? That's carried. All right, second item is a recommendation to approve the use of the railway station for an event by St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation. And Hannah, can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, so I was contacted by the foundation. They're looking to host a rockathon event, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. Folks are going to be in rocking chairs. They're going to collect pledges prior to, and I think it's kind of like a dance-a-thon, like it's just as long as you can rock. So they want to use the outdoors of the railway station. The indoors, it would be only for preparing, you know, some tea and coffee and using the washroom. I did advise them that if they needed like a rain location, it can't be the railway station. I don't think we'd be able to fit lots of rocking chairs plus lots of people watching them. So they are aware that it would not work for a rainy day, but the request is specifically to use the outdoor grounds and then also have access to the inside for just a few things.
Okay, that sounds good. Have we know if this is approved, will we notify the station keepers about the event?
Yeah, and we have the station keepers have access to our online calendar where if we ever do have events happening at the railway station, they're made aware of it.
Okay, thank you, because I do see them going in and out of that building quite often.
Mhm.
All right, so we do have a recommendation on this.
Through the chair, that council approved the use of the railway station grounds for a fundraising event held by St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation.
Okay, could I get the mover, please? Councillor Schulis, seconder. Councillor Bromwich, and any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay, that's carried. And the next report is the Hannah's Recreation Report and or update, and it's just for information. So Hannah, I'll let you go through this.
Sure. So I've got a bit of a laundry list on this one, but so the first one is I'm just in the midst of event planning for two events, June and July, the National Indigenous History Month event, and then Canada Day. Canada Day, I've been chatting with the Legion, Wilno Heritage Society, Khmer Rack, and looking to get some things going for that long weekend. So I should at the next meeting have kind of a set in stone schedule for you because I'm almost done. We also, I'm talking to the cultural coordinator at the Pikwakanagan about a National Indigenous History Month celebration that would be a Saturday in June. So we're still working out the details of that one. For Earth Month, we did a poster contest for the schools and childcare centers in the township. Everybody submitted some posters, and they also invited staff to come and give a presentation on our local waste sites. So that went really well. I included the posters for you to take a look. We got a lot of awesome submissions. Everybody who won will be receiving funds to put towards environmental programming. And the posters are hanging downstairs in the library if anyone wants to go check them out. There was a lot of great ones, not just the 4 that won. I've also released an RFP to seek proposals for qualified firms to develop a concept plan for Lakeshore Park. So that's due next Friday, the 13th. So really excited to see what comes in, and hopefully by the fall that we'll have a definitive plan for the park, which is really exciting. The Pebble Mosaic project is also moving forward. It's set to be done and unveiled September 22nd. The project also secured some grant funding to offset municipal costs, and we may use that to go a little further than just the base and have a plaque in addition of benches as well. And finally, we've had 3 grants that we were hoping to get. We were successful for Canada Summer Jobs, Celebrate Canada, and Jumpstart. We all had success in, which is great. So we were really hoping to get those, and we're very happy we did. So that's it for me there.
Councillor Poplinski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question, Hannah, regarding the Lakeshore Park, it's so nice to see this on the agenda because we've talked about this for so many years, and it's a real jewel that we have, and it needs to be developed. So I think anything in that regard, I think is great. I just want to make sure that we're looking, sort of covering all our bases, and much of the discussion in the past revolved around having some sort of a permanent structure, a stage or an area for music or other events if it's possible to incorporate it into the plan, that would be wonderful. So I don't know what you've got right at the moment. I know there was considerable stuff in files in your office prior to your arriving, so I don't know what you're working on at the moment, but I think it is a good idea to proceed what you're doing. But I think we need to have a discussion and as to you know, and also my next point then would be, could we be eligible for some sort of grant if we are building a structure there that's maybe we'll make it part of an Indigenous structure as well, so maybe we can have 2 cracks at the can, you know. But just your thought on that.
Yeah, so I know a stage has been on the wish list for Lakeshore Park for a long time. So that is something that I have in mind. I don't have necessarily like a personal list of all the things I want there. We do plan on doing some public consultation through surveys to check out what everybody wants for the park. But I think other than, you know, playground equipment, we don't know what else can go there and where it should all go. But that's definitely on the list, the stage.
That's very encouraging. Thank you.
Mayor Love.
Thank you, Chair. There has been discussion in the past about a stage that's portable, and there are other events that do occur across the municipality that could definitely use a portable stage. So that should also be something that is not thrown off the list to consider as opposed to a permanent structure in one place. Hannah, I just wanted to say how really pleased I was to see that two of the issues that you identified in this project are the insufficient parking and the bane of our existence, which is the waterfowl nesting and fouling of this beautiful park. So, I mean, if you can possibly, if they can come up with some solutions to the waterfowl issue, that would be wonderful. And it may be able to be incorporated in how we design the park. But I was really, really pleased to see that you'd identified these two key issues that we face every year in that park. So thank you very much. I really thought it was a good job.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I know parking has always been a thing, so hopefully we can actually have a dedicated lot instead of roadside. And then, yeah, those geese, I've been doing some reading, and there is, ways to mess with the landscape, not mess with it, but like, have fixed the landscape that hopefully just makes it not a desirable nesting ground. I know they say make it so they can't land, but it's kind of impossible when you're beside a lake. But hopefully there is a way we could mitigate it somehow, if not totally eliminate them, at least make it less of an issue. So hopefully they come up with something.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah. I think this is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing the concept plan. And I really do hope the community participates in it, because we need the input to make this piece of property, which is really a jewel, work for everyone, or as many as possible. I just wanted to go back to the Pebble Mosaic. And again, the only reason for that is with us talking about the train, I think we've got to be very careful when we're placing them, that we remember the other one when we're doing one. So I think it's important just to keep that in mind. And some of the things I'm looking at, I mean, you don't want the train to be too close to the Mosaic, or you'll have people running all over it. So there's just a little bit of space planning that needs to be looked at when we're looking at that area.
For sure. So the station keepers are aware of where the Mosaic will go. So they know that, like they know the location, so they can kind of stay away. And the three that they did outline there are away from the proposed location of the Mosaic.
Okay.
I also will note, I was also concerned about kind of walking all over the Mosaic and stuff like that, but apparently it is meant to be walked on. And people actually do kind of remove their shoes and walk on it, and it's a therapeutic thing. So it actually is meant to be a bit of a tactile thing, so it's not disrespectful to wander on top of it. So if kids do that, but yeah, that's just something I was also concerned about, but apparently it's not something we have to worry about.
Okay, that's good to hear. All right, any other comments on Hannah's report? If not, we'll move on to the Barry's Bay Recreation Committee Executive Committee minutes of April 21st. And Councillor Schulis is our rep on this, so perhaps he would like to comment.
Yes, I am. How did I get involved in this? It's a lot of work. No, I enjoy it. Usually Hannah's there with it, but she couldn't make it, so I see there's regrets. But as you can see in the minutes, there's a lot of activity that they're planning on, and there's some action items and so on. I guess the major part here, we got 5 great leaders on the committee level. It's all about volunteers, and that's one thing that it's sometimes hard. You can have all these ideas, but a lot of these things are driven by, or should be driven by, volunteers. And right at this moment, you know, there's not as many people as they would like to step up, but you know, there's still a hope, and we're hoping that that they, you know, these things are going to happen. Things like the golf tournament, because it was done, you know, a couple of years ago. It's kind of in place. So those are the easy ones. It's the new activities that are going to take a little bit. But at the same time, I have to give the committee credit for initiating a lot of this stuff here, and hopefully volunteers can step up and make all of this stuff happen, because this will show that we are very, very active in events around the Madawaska Valley. So I would, there's a recommendation that we accept these meetings. If somebody wants to read the recommendation, I'll make a motion on it.
Sorry, the CAO is kicked out. She's just
okay.
rebooting, but I can read the recommendation.
If you don't mind.
No, that the Barry's Bay Recreation Committee Executive Committee meeting minutes for April 21st, 2022 be accepted as presented.
Okay, I'll move that.
Okay, I'll second it. And any further discussion?
I will just note they are planning on having a public meeting 6 p.m. May 26th upstairs at the arena. So that's something that they're doing to kind of kick things off. So yeah, if anyone wants to come out, I'll be there.
Thank you, Hannah. All right, so we had a mover and a seconder, I think. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Carried. All right, and we have correspondence, we have unfinished business, and I believe we have something. Sue, you have something on the Mission House that she's got to take out.
She's not here. Could I suggest that we take a 5-minute break so that she can log back in, because the next, the Mission House is her verbal report, and then also she'll be doing the planning reports. So if we could wait until she comes back in.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. So
Okay.
I'm still chairing right now, so I need a mover, Councillor Poplinski, and a seconder, Mayor Love, for 10-minute break.
5 minute?
5 minutes? Okay. So we're back at 11:17. Okay. I guess we need to adjourn. Motion to adjourn?
No, we're not adjourning. We're just taking a break. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to do anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We should vote on it.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I think that's too late. We've lost everybody.
Okay, well, we'll be back in 5.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Ernie?
I can, now I can, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so I'm,
great.
my system just shut right down, computer and all, so.
Okay, we figured you were abducted by aliens or something.
Well, it felt like it, so.
It happens.
Yeah.
I've been on the same end at times, and it's a little frustrating, but like it's just we have to deal with it.
So just wanted to let you know, so I sent an email there, I'm just gonna read, so the public know that council has decided that we're not renewing the lease of the Mission House. So our hope was that the Combermere the Combermere Heritage Society would want to do like a press release with us today, but after talking to David Kelly, he said on the heels of David Lethbridge passing away, and he said, like, there's really only 3 members left. He didn't want it to be like a press release. So he said, so I talked to him on Saturday, and he said, you know, sorry, Gwen, can you unmute me? Oh.
Yeah, don't hear anybody.
Councillor Poplinski, you can't hear us?
Now I can.
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
now I can.
Okay. We are still live streaming, just for everyone to be aware.
Okay, thank you.
I can't hear anything. Yeah. So can't hear anything.
Nobody's saying anything.
Oh, okay. I saw a lot of people moving their mouths. They're probably thinking about lunch.
So apologize, the system just kicked me completely out, shut the machine off. It's still saying unstable. So you'll have to advise where you are at on the agenda.
Okay, so the chair is here.
Yeah. We were moving into item 10.31.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's your verbal report, Sue.
Okay, so did you want me to proceed?
Well, we're missing 2 members right now.
Sorry, I apologize.
So we'll just give them another minute.
Okay.
Chair, I think we can assume that there was a vote was carried to take that break since they voted with their feet.
Yes, yes.
So you'll just have to call the meeting back to order when everyone's returned.
All right, well, we're 6 minutes have gone by, so I'm going to call the meeting back to order, and I think Councillor Schulis will be here very soon. We'll move on to item 10.3.1, and this is a verbal report on an update on the Mission House from Sue.
Yes, do you want me to proceed without Councillor Schulis? He, as the chair, the representative. Oh, there he is now.
There he is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So staff has notified the Combermere Heritage Society and the landlord that the municipality will not be renewing the lease on June 2nd, 2022. This museum has been operated by and curated by a group of dedicated and passionate volunteers involved with the Combermere Heritage Society for many years. And the township is eager to continue to support this group as they transition away from the operation of a museum in the existing building, as we have known as the Combermere Mission House. Staff, as per council direction, investigated many options, including moving the building, which resulted in it not being feasible. A number of issues have arisen over the past few years that have made continuing to operate a physical building a challenge, and they include the following. The accessibility AODA requirements to create an accessible public building will require substantial financial investment in the building in the next 2 years. It must be fully compliant by 2025. The complexity of needing to make renovations to a building where the township owns the building, but not the land around it or under it, has also caused some issues. A smaller committee unable to operate the museum on a regular basis drew us to look at the need and the use of the building versus the cost to bring it up to AODA. COVID, of course, has been a major factor, forcing the closure of the museum for much of the past 2 summer seasons, and the pandemic-related rules not allowing international visitors to the area. And just a general decrease in the visitors to the site, which has progressively reduced and made worse with COVID, of course. I want to be clear that it has always been council's mandate and staff's concern to ensure that the public knows that the society remains an important and valued committee of council. And despite this change in their operations, not renewing the lease is closing the door of a physical building, but it's not closing the relationship council and the community have with the Commermere Heritage Society and the need that is recognized to continue to preserve and share Commermere's vast heritage. Despite these challenges, the Commermere Heritage Society remains focused on its goals to celebrate and engage others about Commermere's past, and the township remains committed to supporting this goal. The society has created new ways to share its multitude of knowledge and artifacts, including through a 3D online tour of the space prior to the artifacts being removed to preserve everything that was in the building, as well as new social media pages and platforms that you'll see coming out. Wanted to just a call out to the community that Mr. David Kelly has asked that if you or someone you know have lent artifacts to the museum, please get in touch with David Kelly regarding their return or how you'd like to process those artifacts. The society is actively looking to return as many items as possible to their original owners prior to May 31st. I wasn't sure if maybe Councillor Schulis wanted to speak. Councillor Schulis is the council representative that met with myself, Hannah Gutowski, and David Kelly as one of the executive founders of and existing members of the Commermere Heritage Society.
Councillor Schulis.
Yes, just a quick statement. I mean, you basically covered the situation, and a lot. It's sort of sad that it's gone that way, but you know, we have to accept the reality. You know, personally, for myself, I remember when this all started, and a commitment by the public, you know, saving the building and so on, and creating a beautiful museum. Today, it doesn't seem like it's working as far as a physical building, but if they go into different directions, virtual, or even if they take some of the part of the Commermere history on the road, they could do displays here and there if this is what they want to do. But one thing I think what's important is that the Commermere Heritage Committee Society should understand that we're always going to be there to support them in any way that we possibly can. So I think that's most important. So thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments, Councillor Poplinski?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to see if we have a phone number that we could put on online or somewhere for Mr. David Kelly, because people may have some things that they've donated and want to get in touch with them. So I'm just wondering if there is a number which we can mention where he can be.
If I may, might I suggest that they call the township and leave a message with Hannah Gutowski. And Hannah is at extension. Sorry, what's your extension, Hannah?
220.
220, and she can redirect those calls to Mr. Kelly.
And my other question was regarding the contents in artifacts and various things that were donated. A lot of them will be returned, I understand. What's going to happen with the remainder? There was some suggestion that they would be given away to someplace else. I'm wondering if the township would be prepared to for a period of time accept those and store them, whether it's in this old seniors building, or that would be something that would be very worthwhile. Thank you.
Sue?
Yes, if I may. Yes, that is in discussions with Mr. Kelly on behalf of, and he is a spokesperson for the committee. We have offered the storage at the Commermere Hall for an extended period of time. He's been provided a key for access, and we've advised that as we were planning on moving forward using that facility as a records management, we are moving forward with ensuring that it is a monitored site as well, and they'll be provided with the key code if it's needed, so they have that access. We have proceeded in, we have offered the assistance of some public works assistance as well for some of the heavier items. I think what we're doing is right now they are compiling what is to be kept, what is to be returned. And there is, I'll have a resolution coming out stating our direction that we also are coming back to council with the new terms of reference for this committee. Because even though it's not a bricks and mortar committee, they are being looking at an online platform. We discuss things like a traveling exhibit. So I'm not sure if that's a direction the committee will want to take. So David and his group will be back before council to renew a terms of reference for that committee, discussing the new strategy, because as directed by council, I have advised the committee that your support is continuing and that you would like to offer an operating grant yearly of $5,000 to allow for that to continue.
Good. Mayor Love, you had a question?
No, I just wanted to clarify something, but I think the CAO did actually clarify it, so I'm fine. I would like to thank the committee for all their many hours of work and the many people who have been on that committee over, oh gosh, at least 20 years, working on that, on the Mission House itself, on the building, and setting it up to be such a fine museum. It is unfortunate that this historical building would just be far too expensive, prohibitively expensive to make it AODA compliant. And I think this is a good direction for them. It allows for the seniors who are involved to be able to continue to work towards preserving the heritage of Combermere at the same time as not being bound to having to ensure that their staffing hours for the museum to be open. So this may actually get their efforts spread further by virtue of the fact that it can be their work can be accessed virtually. This may reach more people. We're hoping that that will be the case and that they'll continue as a committee of council under their new terms of reference. Really looking forward to seeing that relationship continue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sue.
I just wanted to, just for background information as well and for clarity, I wanted to confirm that following the sale of the Mission House grounds, the new landlords had expressed and confirmed that their obligation to the committee and to the township was to continue and to support the operation of the Mission House as a museum and an art gallery as per the original lease. And the landlords had confirmed as we neared renegotiation and the term lease coming to June 2nd, they had confirmed that they wanted the relationship to continue and would renegotiate terms by which both parties, were currently operating under. And so wanted to make sure for the public and to reiterate for those that are listening that this was a decision made by council based on the requirements of the building, the future costs as we were presented with the building condition assessment. It was not that there was no willing partners at the table to make this work. Just wanted to be clear on that.
Okay. All right, thank you. If there's no other discussion, then I look forward to seeing what this group does next and what comes back to council in the future. So I'm looking forward to that because I do agree that I think may be able to get Combermere's heritage out there in a much more efficient manner using other tools. So as I say, I look forward to their future. That being
If I
said-
may, Chair,
Yes.
if I may read a recommendation, just to
Okay.
ensure that council is aware as to the next steps.
Okay.
That council direct the CEO clerk to proceed with finalizing the transfer of ownership from the municipality to the landlords, and that staff, and assisting the Commermere Heritage Society with the relocation of the artifacts to the Commermere Senior Hall, and working cooperatively with the Commermere Heritage Society to draft a new terms of reference and draft the needs that could be addressed through a yearly operating grant of $5,000.
Okay. And moved by Councillor Schulis and seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
All right, that brings to a close the Recreation and Community Development portion of the meeting, and I'll turn the chair back to Mayor Love.
Okay, thank you, Chair Wilmer. We'll move into planning matters and statutory meeting under the Planning Act. First, we have municipal reports. We have a report from the Manager of Planning, Development and Licensing dated April 28th, 2022, regarding a shoreline road allowance closure application on Stony Lake. And Sue, were you going to speak to this? Oh, you're muted.
Yes, I did ask for a brief explanation from the manager of planning prior to his retirement on Friday. And he stated that this was just a follow-up. This is generally a report that he brings forward when there's a requirement for the establishment of a boundary to be approved by council, when either one of the respective parties has not responded and or there is no agreement to move forward. Mr. Lebreski wanted to make sure prior to his leaving that these matters were addressed and that he felt that there were no further issues that we should proceed.
Okay, thank you, Sue. I notice in the sketch that council has to go by on page 124 that it appears to suggest an extension of the lot line. The neighbor has expressed concern about the lot line, and I'm wondering if out of an abundance of caution, we should consider it being perpendicular rather than an extension of the lot line. Often when the lot line's on an angle, the adjacent property owner loses significant shoreline because of the angle of the lot line. It is very hard to tell because we don't actually have a survey in front of us that clearly identifies that lot line. Thoughts of council on that? The neighbor has expressed concerns. Councillor Wilmer.
I think that's a good idea. I think it would make sense to do that because, as you say, when it's on an angle like that, you can lose a lot of frontage very quickly. So I think it's a good point.
Okay, Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Love. I think historically, I think what the approach has always been in a case like this, they would take 90 degrees to the water, which then would in that might, and if that proposal was made to the neighboring property owner, probably they would be in agreement because most people would agree to that. It's a reasonable way to deal with it.
Okay, any other concerns with that proposal coming back that council would approve it if the line was, as Councillor Poplinski said, 90 degrees to the water, in other words, perpendicular? Any other concerns?
If I could just continue, Mayor Lovely, and if there could be a structure, there could be something else that may prevent that from happening, but in most cases, that's exactly the answer to these issues.
Yes, and if there is a structure, then
they can
get back to us.
Yes, exactly.
They can get back to us, but if we could suggest that, because the survey work will need to be done in order to transfer the property. Sue, any concerns with that?
No, I just would not move forward with the recommendation to approve the establishment of the boundary line as presented to council. Or do you want me to approve it? Because for me to approve it on a 90-degree proposal, I'm not sure that there won't be any objection.
No, it should be surveyed.
Yeah, well, it needs to be surveyed, absolutely. And if they haven't done that survey work, Well, and this is the problem. We've got a sketch that literally is just a sketch. It's not a survey. Whereas if you look at the second application, I think the second one has a clear line that's established through survey. So can we, maybe we could just recommend that, since we're council and committee, that council recommend to council that the boundary line be established perpendicular to the water. Can we do a recommendation like that? And we'll see what comes back.
I would have that council pursuant to item 16 of bylaw number 2013-38 approve the establishment of a perpendicular boundary line.
Of a perpendicular boundary. Of a
Okay,
boundary
boundary.
perpendicular to the water.
Okay, of a boundary perpendicular to the water.
So we're explaining what we're perpendicular to. Can I get a mover for that recommendation? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any discussion on the recommendation? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right, our next item is a report also from the Manager of Planning, Development and Licensing. Boy, we're coming to the end of me being able to say that for a little bit. Dated April 28th, 2022, regarding a shoreline road allowance closure application on Stony Lake. Sue, did you want to speak to this one? Or did you want to read the recommendation?
Yeah, so the recommendation is that council pursuant to item 16 of bylaw number 2013-38 approve the establishment of the boundary in accordance with the application sketch, a copy of which is attached. And this one is 68 Blueberry Point Lane.
Yes, so there's a typo on the agenda. It's not Stony Lake, it's Kaministkeg Lake.
Okay.
Just please to note that. Okay, council, you've heard the recommendation. Again, this is on Kaministkeg Lake. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Any discussion on that recommendation? Any questions on this establishment of boundary? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right, we don't have any correspondence or information. Are there any other outstanding matters? I'm not aware of. Sue, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, then we will move to Finance and Administration Committee. Under Municipal Reports, we have a monthly information package. And Sue, did you just want to speak to this?
Yes, so what you have before you is just to itemize. There's no attachments because they've all been forwarded to council via email. So following one of the recommendations in our operational service delivery review is streamlining the information that you get so that we can streamline the council meetings so that they do not drag on to 5 or 6 hour meetings. So in doing this, it's a reminder as to the time and the date that you were forwarded the attachment. What we've been trying to do is be cognizant and forward to you any correspondence that previously we would put under information. We would attach the copy, but we're trying to send you things that have hyperlinks as well. So it allows you to go on the hyperlink to get further explanation or additional reports as well. So when I'm forwarding these to you, I'm basically stating that if you receive something that I deem as your information email, you're welcome to, if there's something that you further want to discuss or you have a concern about a report that possibly is within that, if you just contact me or the deputy clerk to say that you would like this brought on to the action correspondence, then we will do it as such. This is kind of the first step of getting to a consent agenda portion, which is something that I think we should be looking at prior to the end of this council to explore the proactiveness of it and the benefits of doing it.
Okay, thank you, Sue. We would also eventually be heading to a consent agenda on all the various resolutions we receive, I would
That's
assume.
correct. Yes.
So that we would only then be discussing the ones that council felt were worthy, that any members of council felt they were worthy of discussion by council.
That's correct.
Okay, so this is good. It's a step towards some streamlining that is going to make the meetings a little more time effective for council and staff. Any questions on this, council? Everybody's clear on what this is? Okay. Don't see any. Our next item is records management, and it's a report from Sue.
So this is just an update moving forward as we are trying to get to make more space at the township. We're looking at utilizing the Cumbermere Hall for records management storage as well. Wanted to give council an update as to what has the conversations that have happened with the building department and some vendors as it pertains to scanning some documents following the successful funding that the treasurer was able to obtain. It's pretty self-explanatory if you have any questions for me, but what I would be seeking is confirmation that council agrees that we can utilize the Cumbermere Hall as such records management, and that we would be, not Cumbermere Hall, sorry, Cumbermere Seniors Hall, and that we would be proceeding with scanning the documents. But furthermore, wanted to bring in the conversation which resulted from speaking to vendors about not just scanning and PDFing our documents, but actually implementing a records management retention program, which is the software that is maintained by the municipality. You're not subject or hostage to any firm. You own the data, you have the data, you control the data. And this would be the first step in being able to, if we do it with the building department, once we see the benefits of having a TOMRS and a file hold system, we could then implement it with administration, with planning, with finance.
Okay, thank you. So you're talking about the Golden Year Senior Center, which we probably should rename.
Yes, I apologize for that. Yes, that is what I was talking about.
Might be called Storage One, I don't know. But we
Yes.
really should rename that building. Okay, that's the building we're referring to. Any questions from council on the report? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Amanda, you just came on. Did you want to speak to this? No?
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, unfortunately.
Hello?
There.
Ah,
now
we
can
can hear you now.
No, I just jumped on in preparation for 12.1.4.
Okay, that's fine. I just checking. All right, so if there's no questions or discussion on this, Sue, could you read the recommendation?
Yes, sir. The chair that council directs the CEO clerk in consultation with the treasurer and the accounts payable clerk to proceed with acquiring records management retention software, file hold, and TOMRS, and that staff is directed to proceed with services for scanning building septic permits, and that council directs the CEO clerk to proceed with transferring files to the Paul J. Yakubuski Community Center, and that council supports the use of the Cumbermere Seniors Hall, the Golden, what's it called, Mayor?
Golden Year Senior
Golden Years
Center.
Senior Center for record storage pending review and approval of the building department, and that the sea container is moved away from 85 Bay Street no later than June 30th.
Okay, could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Is there any discussion on the recommendation? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right, thank you. Next is our administration report, and Sue, that's your report.
So what we've done, the treasurer also has a finance report. So we're trying to really streamline some of the activities that happen, some of which you may not get correspondence on, so that you get some updates as to where and what we are working on. So the community safety wellbeing plan, there was an update on that. There was some action item. We are still trying to establish if Brunel, Lindock, and Raglan, as well as South Algonquin, will be continuing with the group. We have had Bonashire Valley ask to join the committee for the next steps as well. So everything else is pretty self-explanatory, just outlining some of what we have done. One of which I want to say probably the most active one is the CGIS updates. So the map digitization of the Methodist Cemetery is now complete. The wastewater digitization last phase has been completed, and both Aqua and our staff, including myself, have been populating some service requests on there. But the exciting part is the updating the upcoming modules in progress. So bylaw, both the municipal compliance officer and the bylaw, Corey has met and looked at the mapping and are very interested in moving forward so that we can add the fines and the levels of compliance reports that we send out as we start looking at the issues that we have with short-term rentals, as well as being able to track all of the non-compliance that we've addressed since 2021. So since that initial meeting, Jeff from CGIS has populated every infraction and response from the municipal compliance officer and bylaw onto that map. This will be something we'll be able to bring to council, I'm hoping to view in June. And it allows them to print reports for council as to what kind of complaints they've been dealing with. So that addresses the one goal that we had when we went to council about monitoring the amount of issues that we have either with noise, with animal or short-term rental, to be able to clearly depict if there's a specific area and or if there's a specific need or complaint that we're dealing, that is the overarching issue. Also for building, they have confirmed that they can assist us with the developing checklists for the bigger projects like Chippewa, Little Bark Bay, and Lakewoods. So they are actually going to be going through the subdivision condominium agreements and listing the specifics that are addressed within those agreements. And it will be on each of those individual parcels for easy access to staff member, building, bylaw, roads, that they actually can generate a list as to what is required to proceed on those specific lots. So they're excited about moving forward with that.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Just the information that is on CGIS right now is all confidential and only accessible by staff, correct?
It is at this point. Moving forward, once we confirm that we have the full module that we're looking for, it would be no different than the county GIS. There is a staff module and there is like a public view, and we would be able to have the public view. So what it would not have is the service requests and like the pending work orders or anything like that, but they would be able to go on and click onto any of the maps and see all of the layers that we have.
Okay, but things like compliance issues, would they not remain confidential?
They remain confidential, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear about that, because some of this mapping is for staff use only, but some of it eventually will also be accessible to the public, and obviously there'll be some serious thought given to what is accessible and what is not. Okay.
Yeah, and I wanted to, if I may, Mayor Love, I want to clarify, this is not in any way to replace the county GIS. We use the county GIS frequently. We continue to use it. We see its need and the benefits of it. We are using this platform, which did in part, it is the county GIS that is used as our main layer. But we want to proceed with just having a way and a means for us to track our service requests and some of our changes in infrastructure as well.
Okay. Did you want to continue with some of the items? Was there anything else you wanted to highlight?
I wasn't sure. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's really lengthy. If there was any specific area that council members wanted me to speak to, I can.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions on the administration report? Any comments? Okay, I don't see any. Sue, do we want to actually have a motion to accept this as information or not?
I don't think we need one.
Okay,
but we can. It's up to you.
Okay, no, it's fine. If you don't feel we need one, then I'm good with that. I just wanted to be certain that was what we were doing. Okay, So our next item then is the Finance Department report, and I'll just turn it over to Amanda to hit the high points for us.
Sure. So I've just compiled a report with some items of interest for committee members, of things that have come in. So we have our annual repayment limit that is based on our FIR reporting, and that is just the number if we were to go out and to debenture. So those are the marks that we have to hit. But we are not debenturing in 2022, so we're all good. I provided you with the Municipal Finance Officers Association 2022 federal budget summary. You know, you may not want to look at it, but I think it's a lot of really good, interesting information for staff, council, and the public out there to see what the federal government is planning on doing. You know, there's information on infrastructure funding, building code reform, affordable housing, and it just highlights a lot of that information there. So some really great stuff. I think it's good reading material for me, but others might disagree. We also have our OPP billing. So our number accounts, I will be reviewing those numbers with MPAC staff for accuracy. I mean, I'm not really sure how much it changes year over year, but we will be looking at it. And those numbers are then used to populate our billing for future years. We do have a tax policy working group. I have reported on it before, but so I just wanted to highlight some changes or some recommendations that we have made that were approved at the county level with the tax policies, the industrial tax rates, and the optional small business subclass. So no lower tier municipalities have adopted it, only the City of Toronto and the City of Ottawa. I also have provided you with the Treasurer's Statement of Remuneration and Expenses paid to council, boards, and committees. I have just wanted to update you with MPAC will be in the office, and they try to do that where they go to other municipalities and work a day in the office now and again, just to be available for staff and for the public. If anyone has any questions, they're there to answer anything and help us out. So tentatively, MPAC staff will be here May 12th, hoping that nobody is ill or anything else happens. And then something of really good interest to me, something I'm excited about, is this municipal pilot to improve cyber resiliency for small and medium municipalities. So our municipality is part of this group called MISA, which is the Municipal Information Systems Association of Ontario. And through this group, the federal government has provided funding to help small and medium-sized municipalities prepare themselves on this cybersecurity platform to make us more resilient, because small municipalities are the ones that are getting hit often and frequently. It's a program that will span into 2023. And I just provided you with the poster, just a little bit of information, and hopefully it's free to the municipality, and we'll be able to team up with some really knowledgeable, good people to help us make sure we have a plan for any sort of cyber attacks that may come for us in the future. So really excited about that. And I think this is a good opportunity for us. Not a lot of municipalities have, smaller municipalities have been able to, get on with cyber insurance, and not a lot of small municipalities, especially in our area, have jumped onto this. So I think we're sort of in the forefront. We have our cyber insurance, so we have protection there, and now we're just moving forward with a resiliency plan. So I'm really excited about that. It's maybe kind of a little boring, but I'm excited about that. So if council has any questions for me.
I'm excited too.
Yes, me too, Amanda. All right, are there any questions for Amanda on the Finance Department report? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Again, we're just accepting that as information, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. We appreciate that. All right, correspondence and information. First, we have an email from Nature Canada dated April 14th, 2022 regarding World Ocean Day on June 8th, 2022. Is this something we would prefer to file, or I don't think we have any plans for World Ocean Day. So we'll just file this. Is that okay? Okay, no objections. Next is a resolution from the town of Gravenhurst, April 19th, 2022, regarding Year of the Garden. Sue.
I was wondering if I should forward this to our Communities in Bloom and horticultural societies. I'm not sure if there's, you know, a greater platform there. They as a committee would like us to look at accepting this resolution.
I think it would be a good idea to swing it by them and see what they think on that.
Okay.
Any concerns from council? Okay, no, that's what we'll do. We'll forward that to the Communities in Bloom committee. Next is a resolution from the town of Gravenhurst dated April 19th, 2022 regarding Russian sanctions. Again, I think this is something we may want to file at this point. Okay, I'm not seeing any other interest in that. Next is a resolution from the town of Gravenhurst dated April 19th, 2022 regarding floating accommodations. I read this one through a number of times and couldn't see anything other than a direction to their staff in it. So there's really nothing to support. Sue?
Yeah, I just wanted to use this opportunity to say that our staff is providing comments on that, as well as working with other municipalities through the building department as well. The chief building officials are talking about it as well. Bylaw is talking about it. And all of these surveys that we've been provided from NRF and from some of the cottage associations, one staff member, another has been providing input from Madawaska Valley. We don't have some of the issues that they have, but we are commenting, expecting that they could become an issue.
Right. So our staff is on top of that.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we could, again, just file this. All right, thank you. Resolution from the town of Halton Hills dated April 20th, 2022 regarding Build It Right the First Time. Is this again something that we would prefer to just file? Okay. See, this would be made quicker by a consent agenda because I'd know if you were interested. We could then discuss it. Letter from Creme. I'm not sure how their municipality is pronounced. Dated April 27th, 2022, regarding Bill 109, More Homes for Everyone Act. Again, they're not asking for any support. This is more for information. So we'll file that. Victim Services Renfrew County, dated April 21st, 2022, proclamation for victims and survivors of Crime Week. Okay, let's see if I can find that one. There we are. Again, we don't necessarily have any plans for this. So at this point, council, do we want to just file this? Okay. See, that would have been a lot quicker because the consent agenda would have shown us that there was nothing there that council wished to get into the weeds with. Unfinished business. Sue, I know you have a couple of items that you just wanted to give verbal on.
Yeah, it's not verbal, just to put it on the council public, just on record, that two of the reports that are coming forward for the for the May 19th, 17th meeting, the regular council meeting, is just an update now that the budget is passed, to show what it is that from the strat plan, the report card that we bring forward, what we have done and what we propose to do in 2022 for the strat plan. And then the other one, just the result of what we will be able to do in response to the recommendations that came forward from the operational service delivery review. So it'll bring back those 66 recommendations, and now that the budget is passed, to show which ones will be acted on in 2022 and what will be going forward to 2023. So those two reports will be on the next council meeting.
Okay, so you'll be providing us with of all those recommendations, the ones that staff feel that can get done or at least get started. And then council can decide if those are the ones that we wish you to proceed with.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So that's basically you're giving us a preview of the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that therefore concludes our standing committee portion of the meeting, and we're now entering the regular council meeting portion, starting with the confirmation of the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 19th, 2022. The recommendation is that the regular council meeting minutes for April 19th, 2022 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Any errors or omissions on those minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, I'm not seeing any. All right, we'll enter bylaws. Our very first bylaw, there's a little bit of a glitch. So just to make council aware, this is the Taylor Westwood bylaw, and first and second reading was done on March 15th, 2022. So that it does not need to be done on the agenda. What we are going to be doing is third and final reading. So I've just adjusted what I need to say to introduce it. So just giving you a heads up. I'm going to be reading something slightly different from what's on your agenda. So bylaw 2022-24 regarding a shoreline road allowance closure and disposition along the easterly shore of the Madawaska River, lying in front of lot 11, concession 3, designated as parts 6 and 7 on 49R-19986 in the geographic township of Radcliffe, Taylor and Westwood, TAY-2019-04. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-24, being a bylaw to provide for the closing and stopping up of part of an original allowance for road along the easterly shore of the Madawaska River, lying in front of lot 11, concession 3, Radcliffe, now township of Madawaska Valley, in the county of Renfrew, being part of PIN 57590-0253LT, and for the sale thereof to the abutting landowner, be given third and final reading this third day of May 2022. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Is there any discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. All right. Next is bylaw 2022-49 regarding municipal election policy regarding the use of corporate resources for election purposes. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-49, being a bylaw to approve a municipal election policy regarding the use of corporate resources for election purposes, be given first and second reading this third day of May 2022. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Schulis, seconded by Councillor Wilmer. Is there any discussion on the bylaw? Okay. Sue, could I just ask, what date is nomination day?
August 18th.
August 18th. Okay.
Just let me know. 18th or 19th.
Or the 19th. Something like that.
Yes.
Okay. And the nomination period opened yesterday.
It did.
Okay. Just so this comes into effect on August 19th or 18th.
Sorry, I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Trick question. Maybe Gwen knows.
Yes, she does. She does.
It's
She got
August
it in her calendar.
19th.
August 19th.
Okay, Amanda
19th.
knew. Okay. So this comes into
I know it's a
effect,
Friday.
and be aware on August 19th, just for council. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-49 be given third and final reading this third day of May 2022. Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Bylaw 2022-50 regarding being a bylaw to authorize the acquisition and disposition of land. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-50, being a bylaw to authorize the acquisition and disposition of land, be given first and second reading this third day of May 2022. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any discussion on the bylaw? Councillor Wilmer.
Not discussion on this bylaw, but I think we should go back to the previous one, the election one, because when you read it, it says it comes into effect immediately on passing. And it would impact anyone who's already registered. So it should really be in effect as soon as, because people can start campaigning anytime now, once they've filed their nomination papers, I would think.
Okay, so that's why I asked what nomination day was.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
Well,
whether it was May 2nd or August 19th.
No, because as Gwen said, somebody has completed theirs already. So this bylaw should be in effect immediately to cover any candidate running.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Sorry, I couldn't
so
get my camera on or my audio on fast enough during that.
okay, so then my question was probably faulty. I was basically asking, when does this take effect?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you asked about the nomination day. Okay.
Yes, because it said something in it about nomination day. I can't remember where.
Because there will be 2 periods where you can be in the restricted, but it does start.
Okay. All right, so just for council to be aware, it starts immediately. That was all I was trying to clarify. And somewhere in here, I don't know, I read this on the weekend.
Sorry, immediately upon filing.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, if
Once
you're not,
you put in your papers.
right.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, good clarification. Yeah. Everybody, nobody's trying to trip up here. Everybody wants to understand what the rules are. So immediately upon filing, the candidate is then affected by this bylaw.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Candidate,
okay, no, that's good.
Yeah.
And you cannot campaign until you file. So they go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Okay. No, I was just seeking clarification on that. Councillor Wilmer.
But there is a line in it that says this policy applies to all candidates for municipal council, acclaimed members, and members not seeking re-election.
Correct. Sorry.
Right. So it isn't upon filing, it becomes in effect immediately for everyone.
Good point, Mark. Yep.
Okay.
So that means
we're working hard.
Yes, that means council members that we have, you cannot be campaigning.
Whether you're running or not.
Whether you're running or not.
All right, so this policy is in effect immediately upon its passing, right? And we just passed it. So just so everyone is clear, whether you're a candidate or a member of council who may or may not be a candidate, this policy is in effect. Thank you. Okay, that was all I wanted clarity on. However, the close of nominations is August 19th.
19th, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. So is that okay, Mark? Is that, so we have good understanding?
I just wanted to clarify it because.
No, absolutely. Okay, no, I think that's super important. And your mayor has lost where she was. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that was 2022-49. We are at 2022-50. Sorry, I'll do it again. 2022-50 regarding a bylaw to authorize the acquisition and disposition of land. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-50, being a bylaw to authorize the acquisition and disposition of land, be given first and second reading this third day of May 2022. Did I get a mover and a seconder?
Yes, you did.
Who did I get?
Wilmer and Schulist. Oh, sorry, Gwen.
Wilmer and Schulist?
Wilmer and
okay,
Schulist,
so Councillor Wilmer, Councillor Schulist. Now, any discussion on that bylaw? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-50 be given third and final reading this third day of May 2022. Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Any final discussion on this bylaw? Sue?
Not discussion, just want to clarify, just to ensure council is aware that this is the tripartite agreement.
Yes.
For St. Francis Memorial Hospital, Valley Manor, and the municipality.
Well said.
So thank you.
You got tripartite right the
I
first time.
I did.
Okay, no, we are aware of that. All right, no questions, no concerns, no discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Bylaw 2022-51 regarding being a bylaw to establish the 2022 tax rates for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-51 being a bylaw to establish the 2022 tax rates for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley be given first and second reading this third day of May 2022. Moved by, I need a mover, Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any discussion on this bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2022-51 be given third and final reading this third day of May 2022. Could I get a mover? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we are going, now we do have an in-camera session. We are going to go in camera, but the in-camera session, we're going to take a recess. Recess? Yes. We're going to take a lunch break. Let's call it that. And in camera, we will come back at 3 p.m. That's when you wanted us to come back, Sue? Okay.
Yes,
So
please.
just so the public is aware, we are going in camera, but we are then promptly going to take a break until 3, at which point we will start our in-camera session. But it's just easier to go in for the live streaming. So in camera, the recommendation is that the meeting enter in camera session to discuss matters pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, labor relations or employee negotiations, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Ontario Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 239, 2B, E, D, and F. Number 1 is the special council meeting minutes in camera of March 29th, 2022. Number 2 is the human resources updates from the CAO clerk. And number 3 is the court file number CB-21-000002-0000 Wishart Law updates. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. All those in favor?